a tournament. That's how he used to throw then. I mean, he is just freakishly good. Now he can do it on TV, he can do it under pressure. It's going to be a tough year for everybody else if he carries on like that for another 12 months like he did last year. It was just a pure exhibition of tungsten.
Yeah, what about Kim Hybrecht? So he's said after his match today, big win for him against Adrian Lewis, saying that he's now fully focused. He says it's a different me. I've had enough of not focusing.
Well, that's good to hear, isn't it? When you hear that from a player, something like him. You know, he's been dropped out of the Premier League because his form's dropped, which is understandable. He got himself into the Premier League by playing fantastic darts, and he's done that again today. So can he move on? Well, only time will tell. He's saying all the right things, and he did all the right things on the hockey tonight. It's all about what he can do this weekend and the rest of the year. But at the moment, it's looking good for him.
Adrian Lewis going out, he said on Twitter tonight, he's not majorly disappointed. He tried out some new arrows tonight. It didn't work for him.
No, and in practice, he hit a couple of 9-darters in practice, and he said they felt good. He just his first dart was absolutely destroying him. It was right underneath the 60 wire. I mean, he's got to keep switching. But yeah, you know, the standard's so good now that it's almost inevitable you're going to lose some of the big names, and that's exactly what happened today. And with Gary, you know, Gary was very much like Adrian of late, just sort of plays really well towards the end of the year. But you know, he had a tough year last year, and finishing it off in the best way possible. So I don't blame him for having some sort of downtime and some family time, because they do literally spend the majority of the year on the road. So that's going to happen at this time of year.
Yeah, living out of suitcases as well. Peter Wright looking good. He said he didn't play particularly well against Ian White, but he's through, and he said he's got an extra couple of % now, and he thinks that could be the difference between him not winning previously, as he's been frustrated, and actually going that extra. Yeah,
well, he's saying all the right things, and why not? Because he's in that position he's put himself in. You know, he's got himself to these positions before, got to a few finals, as we know. Didn't play great tonight, but the important thing is he won the match. Not just crawled over the line, but he did enough, like James Wade did. They did enough, got through to the next round. That's why these players get to the final and win tournaments.
I think he was quite shocked. How I said, well, it was just under 100, was it? You know, he was quite shocked, and that's a good sign. You know, I said the same thing to Gary. He went, "Oh my God, I was terrible." I said, "Well, you averaged 98, 99." You know, so, and he was shocked, and that shows players in form when they're averaging around 100 and they come off feeling disappointed. You know they've got extra gears, as you mentioned, and I think Kim will be a threat this year. I think if he, you know, he had a baby last year, and I think if he knuckles down and does all the right things, he's saying all the right things, as Alan has said. You know, he's a top performer, and he's got loads of guts.
Peter Wright did okay today, despite the fact that he said he got a bit of a wake-up call this morning. At 5 to 6, he was rooming next door to Phil Taylor, and he heard a thud, thud, thud times 12. And he said he thinks Phil Taylor in the room next door got up to go to the toilet and thought he'd throw 12 darts and go back to bed.
I always remember Phil saying one year that he wasn't allowed his Christmas dinner till he hit 10-180s. But that's what he was like, and that's why he got himself to the top of the sport. That's what other people have to do.
Phil Taylor, assess.
Yeah, I thought it looked so good. I'm still not convinced about the darts, but I never will be. But yeah, I think he looked solid. He got away with it early. Yella didn't show up until sort of the 6th or 7th leg. The real, you know, when he has an examination, then we'll know. But you know, he's another one. You listen to the interview; it seems positive. I spoke to him. He's really happy with the darts. He reckons in practice they're going lovely. Exactly how he wants them to feel. The grip's right. No, just time will tell. But you can't assess him over one weekend. You know, let's see where he is in 6 months' time. But I think he'll win one this year, at least one.
Some people get annoyed with us talking about Phil Taylor's darts, but we have had quite a few questions on Twitter to @ITB Sport if you'd like to tweet us either tonight or tomorrow. Neil Evans asking, do players change their darts too often? There are always exceptions like Taylor and Wright, granted, but is it a bit of a fixation obsession for players when maybe they change them unnecessarily?
I think so, but I'll come to them too in a second, but I think if people do it too often, it's not a good thing. That's my firm belief. I think you can do it too often, but I think with those two players, it works. In their mind, it works, and it's proof in the pudding by what they achieve. So it doesn't work for everybody. It just seems to work for them too, and maybe somebody else. But I just have that belief that if you keep changing it all the time, you're kind of trying to achieve something that might not be there. Instead of sticking with the same thing, and performing better with the ones that you've got.
You're quite an anorak about these things.
Most of the time they're only very minor adjustments. They could take they could drill a bit of tungsten out the back of the barrel, so the distribution of weight's different. In flight, they might change a point size, a grip type point. They might adjust the length of cane or the material the cane's made of. Overall, Phil's the only one, and Peter Wright of late, that changes actual barrel design. Most of them stick to a very simple sort of straight barrel dart. Klassen has his own style of dart, but he's stuck with darts like that for years. So it is only minor adjustment. It's not like a complete equipment change.
Yeah, today wasn't about the darts for Dave Chisnell, was it? For people who didn't see earlier, just recap for them what happened in that match.
Armageddon, absolute Armageddon. It was crazy, really, because you don't see that when you get the top. You might see it in maybe the World Championship or something like that in the early rounds. But when you get the top 16 players in the world, there's not a lot between them. They can all perform. 8-0 up, everything going well. How can you lose? It's incredible, really, because that ninth leg, Dave kind of was embarrassed by winning it and just so relieved at the same time. Gets one back, then two, and it was incredible. The more it went on, you could see Robert struggling a little bit with his own thoughts. Last leg, and Robert just couldn't do it, and Dave got over the line and couldn't believe it in the end. I mean, we couldn't, stood up here.
How do you think Robert Thornton's going to react to that now? What sort of character is he?
I think he'll be okay. I mean, he's a major winner. He has his ups and downs. Again, we've said it time and time. That's the nature of the sport. It's so competitive. It's so close. No one. Probably with Michael and Phil as the exception, and Gary winning 2 World Championships, it's almost impossible to dominate unless you're Michael van Gerwen, because the rest of the lads are so closely matched.
And Michael Smith, he said he was absolutely devastated to lose in the quarterfinals of the Worlds to Barney. Got his revenge. How do you rate him today?
Yeah, he's had a lot of expectation on him because he's been around for quite a long time. Came through the youth system. He's had some good management. He's had some good performances. He beat Phil Taylor in the World Championships quite a few years ago. All of a sudden we're thinking, who's this kid? He's done really well, but he's got some infallible parts with his game. Now he's got himself into the top 8 in the world. He's now got himself into the Premier League. Now it's time to perform and produce everything, because he's in that position now, which he's got himself in. It's up to him to provide the goods at the end.
Yeah, he said it wasn't his best game today, but he got through. And he said a couple of years ago when he had a baby, he said now he is taking it very seriously. He hadn't previously.
I think if there is one flaw, and you'd have to, it's being hypercritical, he's just not consistent enough for me.
But how do you gain that consistency? Is that from
experience.
Practice?
Yeah, I think it's just experience. I think, he's still a young man. He sort of burst onto the scene. His progress of recent years has been nice and steady, though. I feel for some of these young kids that get thrown in. They have a great season, and there's a lot of pressure on, a lot of expectation. He just needs to find a little bit more consistency, because he's a bit like Gary, who's his manager sponsor. He's either brilliant or not quite at it. And that's what Michael needs to just work on. But that's being hypercritical. I think he's a fabulous young player with a massive future. But as Alan said, time will tell.
What about James Wade today? He was devastated going out at the World Championships as well. 5-1, such a heavy defeat to Gary Anderson.
Well, yeah, but I mean, he just did enough again today. He does that sometimes, James. I mean, we have to remember the amount of tournaments he's won on TV. I think it's 8 now. He sometimes slips under the radar, and he just gets through some rounds, plays better in others, and all of a sudden he's in the later stages. He's a former champion here, don't forget. He's done it so often. He knows what he's doing. His composure is his biggest asset, in my view. And when he gets to around the 100 mark on finishes, he seems to take them out at crucial times. Not always the big tumpus average player, without being disrespectful, but very solid on a regular basis. And that's why he's achieved what he's achieved. A good chance for him to win again this weekend.
OK, a couple of quick-fire questions for you from Twitter, at ITV Sport. Jonathan Collins, do you think Vincent van der Voort can win a major this year?
Yeah, I can't see it. I mean, he does suffer terrible. I know he didn't want to talk about it, but he suffers terrible with his back. And it's just these kind of events are perfect for him. They're over and done in a weekend. Only got to play 4 matches. I think he could. I think the long week ones, I think he'd really suffer with his back. But hopefully he's going to get that sorted out this year. But on that performance, if he played like that every round, he would take some beating.
Okay, if that was your quick answer, we're not going to have many questions, are we? Blimey. Jack Wilkinson, do you think Michael Smith can get to a TV final this year?
Of course he can, yeah, certainly. He's got the ability, no doubt. Sometimes he plays mind games with himself and sort of puts himself under pressure on crucial times, really, as we've seen in a lot of the TV events over the last, 18 months. But now, like I said before, he's in that position now. He's one of the top players in the world. So he's not one of them contenders. He's a possible. Now he's got to produce it. He's capable, we all know. But just sometimes he plays mind games with himself.
Okay.
He's got to get over that.
I have to save the others for tomorrow night, but keep them